Seashell Whispers ASMR. Welcome back to another ASMR snapped at him. I didn't appreciate his tone of voice at all. Oh, I know a lot, Solarian. How do you know, Liam? As I said, I know a lot. You chose him over me. I admit that made me a little uneasy at first, choosing him and the Solarians over me. But I am not one to be resentful, so we can start over Mila, daughter of Gianna, born and raised in Dria. I tried to observe what he was all about. I tried to remember how I knew him, but I couldn't. All I knew is I felt this strange here. I got you 3 lunches packed. I saw that they only provide you with a dinner and breakfast. I couldn't fit more than 3, but I made them dense enough to fill you up properly. While she talks to me, she doesn't even look at me, and instead keeps herself occupied with all the food she prepared for me. Mom, I say, and give her a hug. I will call as soon as I get there, and I bet everyone on the ship will be jealous of my lunches. I hear a chuckle. I doubt that. My sister stands in the door and shortly after joins our family hug. I bet they have the best cooks in the world there. Not to say that Mom's not secretly the best of them all. She grins. My sister has always been the naughtier and wittier one of us. When will you be able to call us? My sister asks. I don't know. Probably. Once I'm in the dorm. I'm not sure, but I will call as soon as possible. I try to assure them, but if I'm being honest, I have no idea what will await me. The last night in my hometown and childhood home, I spent going through old memories, crying and laughing with my sister and my mom. I try to go to sleep early, but what awaits me is a sleepless, restless night. I want to see how long the chapter. Okay, we have one more chapter, but I didn't finish it, so this is kind of the last part. And after that, your author Michelle didn't write anything else after that, so I'm going to read that. And basically, the most interesting parts of the story are in my head and not on paper yet. But if you like the book so far, if you find the story interesting, if you're someone that likes to read, then comment down below and it will probably motivate me to finish the story. Okay. Chapter 2. Arriving at Beaumont. The next morning, I give my mom one last hug. My sister will bring me to the port from where the ship will depart. I wanted to save my mom the heart attack. She's already really worried for me. She has tears in her eyes, but I can also see how proud and how happy she is for me. This is what you have always wanted, Mila. Now make the best out of it. Listen to your heart, but don't you let any of those arrogant Valentians take advantage of you. Mom, I don't think they will be arrogant. I'm sure there are nice people in Valentia. I grin and she looks at me, but her eyes sparkle. I know, but looks at me. He walks towards me, and for a moment, I don't know how to handle the situation. Hey, you must be my roommate for the trip. I'm Lewin. What's your name? He smiles, and his openness and friendliness is contagious. All my fear of socializing with these strangers on board seems to be very small when Lewin looks at me with big blue eyes. I'm Mila from Drya, and yeah, it seems like it. I didn't know we had roommates. Where are you from? I ask, a little unsure how to do small talk, but Lewin surprises me with a warm hug and says, I'm from Jadran. It's about a 2-hour drive from Drya. It's nice to meet you, Mila. I can't help but smile at him. It's nice to meet you too. For the rest of the afternoon, before we take off, Lewin and I spent time talking about our lives back at home. I've never met anyone quite so extroverted and open with strangers, aside from maybe my sister. Lewin has a younger brother and lives on the countryside. His father is an international doctor, and that's why Lewin got to see a lot of Shale when he was young. They were always on the move. Hard to believe for someone like me, but it explains his mannerism. Lewin hadn't been out of jail, but his dad had. And Lewin grew up with stories about the great mountains of Jura and the woods of Valentia, about the people there and their cultures. You know, Mila, he says, I'm really curious to see if Valentians are really as arrogant as my dad says they are, because they always go for what they want, and apparently they don't care about the consequences. But I can't imagine all of them be like that, right? He asks me. To be honest, I haven't had much time thinking about the people there. I'm just going to try to be friendly and not let judgment cloud my vision. But I'm here to study, so if I don't like the people there, that's fine for me. I say, not sure if I believe my own words. I like you, Mila, Lewin says. We're gonna have a great time, I'm sure. And then the horn starts blowing and it's time for us to take off. My stomach is turning and twisting. I'm glad I met Lewin. I do feel less alone. And yet everything that I know and have ever known is getting smaller and smaller the more the ship is going south. The next 5 days, me and Lewin spend a lot of time playing cards and talking about our lives and our hopes for what is to come for us in Valentia. We meet some people too for the next 5 days. Some people there too. For example, a girl from Drya that I hadn't ever seen before. Her name is Celia. Her, Lewin, and me spend our time together. Sometimes at sunrise we go out to the deck and try and spot whales or dolphins. Without any luck so far. On the last morning before we arrive, Lewin and me stand on the deck and watch the sunrise. Celia approaches with 2 cups in her cups of coffee. With 2 cups in her hands. Here, I got you early bird some hot coffee. You're going to need it today. May the caffeine guide you, she says with a goofy tone of voice. She has so much energy and wit that I always have to see where I'm at. That's similar to Lewin's friendliness and openness. It's hard to not like her. Thanks, the perfect start in a perfectly terrifying day, I say, grinning. And exciting, she adds as Lewin exclaims, Guys, look. When I look into the direction she is pointing, I stand in awe. Right in front of us is a group of dolphins heading south just like us, and they jump in and out of the water, and there are even a few baby dolphins swimming with them. The look of them makes my heart full and I start to tear up. Suddenly I feel a big lump in my throat and I can't tell whether I cry because I'm happy or sad that a new chapter in my life has started. I feel news or on a picture. Hello everyone. I understand the situation is very